Hi, I'm Christian Brindle, and welcome to the Everything Medicare Podcast.
What's up, Everything Medicare Podcast Nation? This is Christian Brindle, wherever you are and however you might be listening to me today. Thank you so much for taking the time. This is episode 202 of the Everything Medicare Podcast. Every single week, I bring you 3 podcast episodes where we discuss your Medicare, your Medicaid, your Social Security, and everything that has to do with that golden age called retirement. Folks, this is an episode today that is one that I've been looking forward to. I have talked on this platform and on this show for probably about 2 years now. It's amazing to kind of look back and look at all the conversations that we've had, all the topics that we've had the chance to go through together. And we have had several conversations over the years about agents. And you know, I've had people tell me before that I am too rough on agents, that I am too ruthless in a way when it comes to, calling out agents on the show in the past, and I probably have been a little bit. But primarily speaking, I do think that there's a lot of agents out there that don't do their job in terms of taking care of you. They don't really know what they should know. They might not last in the business, and they're not there to take care of you. And I think all of those factors can play a huge role in terms of what it's going to take and what it's going to look like to have a successful relationship with an agent that's going to take great care of you. An agent's job is this. An agent's job is to take care of you. An agent's job is to make your life simpler. An agent's job is to take some of the stress off of your shoulders. That's what the purpose of an agent is, folks. Point blank. There is no other purpose for the agent if they're not doing those things. I've seen a lot of agents in my time. I've, encountered agents over the years, when I've been out in the field working with clients and customers, and there'll be agents that say, well, Christian Brindle doesn't know what he's talking about, and then it turns out they're wrong about what they're talking about. Or, they'll be offering a plan, I'll be able to offer a better one, because I know more, because I know what I'm doing. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes I'll run into agents out there that I can clearly tell that they're unexperienced, or they're not as knowledgeable as they probably should be. There's agents in this industry that have been in the business for 10 years, 20 years that don't know half of what I know, and that's a problem if you ask me, because I've been in this business for about 6 to 7 years now. So if you've been in this business for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you don't know what I know, then there's something wrong with that picture. But on this episode today, and I'm going to be nice, I'm going to be very gentle, very nice, very friendly. I wanted to talk about a situation in terms of what happens if your agent retires and what you should expect and what you should really take into consideration if you're working with an agent that's, should I say, close to retirement age. And there's a couple different ways we need to look at this. There's certain people that, have loyalty to their agent, and I think that's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with being loyal to your agent. But at the same time, you have to make sure that that agent is going to be the best fit for you over the long period of time. And the reason you need to look at that is because you need to make sure you're taking care of you first. I've encountered so many people over the years that have, a false sense of loyalty to their agent who's really not doing anything for them, that's not doing the best thing for them, that's taking advantage of them, or whatever the case might be. Not saying that all agents do that, but I have seen it. They have a false sense of loyalty to that agent. And I always tell those people, you have to take care of you first. You can't be making an insurance decision for their benefit. You have to do it for your benefit. It's madness that I even have to say that, but I do. Folks, I'll tell you exactly what it would look like if you were working with an agent that, let's say, is in their 60s, 70s, and they're on the brink of retirement, and they walked away. What would it look like for you, the policyholder? I'll go over that after we take a quick break in segment 2. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. What's up, Everything Medicare Podcast Nation? Thank you so much for sticking with me into our second segment of 3 on today's episode of the Everything Medicare Podcast. Folks, I have worked with people over the years that have taken the approach. There's kind of two extremes when it comes to picking an agent. You could pick one that's too young, that doesn't know what they're doing. You don't know if they're going to last. They could flame out. That's a thing. You could go with an agent that is too old, let's say. Nothing wrong with people that are older, but what do we know about people that are older? They retire, as they should. Nothing wrong with that. You worked your whole life. But do you want to place your eggs in a basket of an agent that in a year could retire and then they're not there for you? This is a question that was brought up to me. If I work with this agent, so-and-so agent, get an email from somebody in a state that we're not in asking for advice, they're like, if I work with this and this agent, what would happen? And there's a couple different scenarios. Scenario number 1 would be the agent just retires and you're on an island and you're on your own. That does happen. The agent just sails off into the sunset and gone. That's a possibility, folks. Number 2, if the agent has any children that work with them in the business, and I know quite a bit about this because I am a second-generation insurance agent, and there probably will be a time at some point when my dad will choose to fully retire and I will work with his clients. I have a tremendously large client base of my own, but that does happen from time to time, and I see it all the time. So it could be if they have an offspring that works with them in the business, that offspring could come in and take over, and then they'll be taking care of you, which is fine, but you didn't sign up to work with the offspring. You signed up to work with that agent, and the offspring is not always going to be the exact same type of person. You might not gel with them. They might not do as good of a job. You just don't know. There's a lot of X factors there. But that's the second possibility. The third possibility is the agent sells their business to somebody else and cashes out. I've seen that happen before. I think we all have. So, in essence, there is a couple of different things. And if they sell out and cash out, then you're going to be working with probably some big company somewhere, some faceless organization, some corporation, and you probably aren't going to get the same level of attention and care as you got before. Probably won't even be in your state a lot of times. So those are the three most likely possibilities. I've seen, and I know this is kind of a grim outlook, and I do not wish to be grim, but I've seen people that would go with an agent that's 70. And that agent, something would happen to them health-wise. They'd have a heart attack or something. They might even pass away. As much as I hate to say it, sometimes these are things you have to think about if you're going to be working with an agent. I mean, if I was an agent going up against another agent, let's say, and we're competing for a piece of business. It doesn't happen as much nowadays because I'm established. But when I was new in the business, sometimes I would point out, be like, hey, listen, you know I'm going to be here. You know I'm going to be here. I'm younger. I'm going to be doing this as long as I potentially can, as long as Medicare is around. This other person might not be still doing this in the next 3 to 5 years, maybe even a year or two, because they're probably halfway out the door in terms of retirement. And people understand that. In my opinion, I think if you want to work with an agent, you should pick one that you can work with over the long haul. It doesn't mean that someone that's 65 and is an agent isn't going to be in this in the long haul. But if they've had a career for 30, 40 years, unless they just absolutely are glutton for punishment, they're probably going to hang it up at some point. And it's something that you, the consumer, probably needs to be at least thinking about. Folks, don't go anywhere. I have to take one last break, and I'll be back with you in segment 3. I have some final thoughts I'd like to share with you on this, and then on top of that, I have some news for you. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking with me all the way to the end. My final thoughts on this is not, and I wanted to just make sure that I painted this picture, but my message is not don't work with an agent that's older. There's some great agents out there that are older with great wealth of experience, but also take into consideration that you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that's going to be there for you long term. And I think that's probably one of the most valuable things you can get. I think number 1, they have to be competent. Number 2, they have to be available. The best ability is availability. The best ability is availability. Folks, some news I wanted to share with you. So this podcast is airing on June the 3rd, a Wednesday. We will finish out the shows for this week. We will have, obviously, the show today that you're listening to now. We're going to have the show on the 6th, which is a Saturday, and then we're going to be taking 2 weeks off from the podcast. So on the week of the 8th, as well as the week of the 15th, we will not have podcasts for you, primarily due to the reason that I need a break. With everything that's gone on with the pandemic, COVID-19, keeping our business up and running, making sure we're there for our customers, making sure we're there for the agents that we work with, I'm a little burnt out, and my family's going to be going on a short little trip. Not the entire 2-week span, but we're taking the 2 weeks off from the show. The show will return, and we will be bringing episodes back to you on June 22nd, which is a Monday, and we'll be back to our regularly scheduled program at that point. I hope that you all understand. I hope that you all are patient with us, and I hope every single person comes back to be with us again when we do come back. We took a break like this, I think it was about 2 to 3 weeks around Christmas time and the holiday time, and our downloads and our the eyeballs that were on it when we came back were gigantic, and we were very, excited about that and very happy about that. So that's fantastic. But we'll be taking those 2 breaks, mainly for me, to recharge, unwind, and I'll be back with some great new fresh content for you. So we're going to finish out this week, and then we're going to have a 2-week hiatus. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. Thank you for understanding. And we'll be back, obviously, on Saturday's episode on the 6th, but then after that, we'll be back on June 22nd. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Take care.